And good afternoon. Welcome to the We Believe Digital Studios News Break Show. Wednesdays and Fridays from 12 noon to 12:30. Our call-in number is 1-800-492-5186, or you can certainly join us in the chat. We hope you enjoy the program. You'll like the program and subscribe to the program and click on your notifications bell so that you can be reminded when the show pops up twice a week. We try and bring you the latest and greatest of things going on in Jackson and Hinds County, throughout Mississippi, throughout the nation, and some global news stories as well. So we're happy to have you here today. My name is Chris Young. 92 degrees in Jackson, Mississippi, heading for about 95. And absolutely no rain in the forecast for the next 7 days, looks like. So we're on quite a dry stretch here. So I think we mentioned to you Friday that last week the City Council had voted to end its lease agreement with Retro Metro LLC over at the Metro Center Mall, as soon moving its offices. Well, yesterday at a press conference, Mayor Lumumba said that those offices would be relocated to a facility at 633 North State Street. 633 North State Street. So this is very important in terms of human resources, parks and recreation. They're not sure if the police center that was over there at Metro Center will shift to this building or another one. There's a few alternatives they're looking at, but we'll get that to you when we hear about it. But many of the city services, effective August 7th, will be at 633 North State Street as opposed to the Metro Center Mall. And we'll keep you updated on that. And I think there's also was a component of paying water bills over there, but I'm not sure that still has been going on over there or not. And we'll get back to you on that. And in a related topic, if you just happen to be in the market for an old department store, according to WLBT, the city cutting the cost of the old Dillard's building, cutting the cost in half. City's expected to again take bids on what was the former Anchor store at the Metro Center Mall, with a minimum bid starting at $350,000. So there you go. Just one little check for $350,000 gets you into the bid process for the old Dillard store at Metro Center Mall. The city had no takers on the building previously, which was being sold for a minimum of $700,000. So that price, nearly 18 times what the city paid for the building in 2013, and a little more than half of the $1.2 million it appraised for at the time. So keep your eye out on that and get your checkbook open. Get you a piece of the Metro Center Mall. Moving out a little bit from Jackson and Hinds into the broader Mississippi stories. We always tell you about these lack of Republican-led hearings on the TANF scandal. TANF scandal, the legal proceedings, all that stuff is still going on. And the Democrats have held a couple of hearings to try to learn more about how that all went down, but the Republicans have held no such hearings and just want to keep their head down and maybe think people are going to forget all about that. But the people are not going to forget about nearly $100 million intended for the poorest families in Mississippi that was funneled away by Republican governors. The last one, Bryant, and the current one, Reeves, there's ample indication both were involved, and they're both were the folks that appointed, those agency appointees were by them, and so we want to continue to remind the people of what's going on with all that, and especially what's not going on with all that. Yesterday, a big day at the White House. On what would have been Emmett Till's 82nd birthday, President Joe Biden signed a proclamation establishing a national monument honoring Emmett Till and his mother, Mamie Till Mobley. Marked the fulfillment of a promise Till's relatives made after his death 68 years ago that there would be a monument. Till's cousin, the Reverend Wheeler Parker Jr., said the black teenager from Chicago, whose abduction, torture, and killing in Mississippi in 1955 helped propel the civil rights movement, is now an American story, not just a civil rights story. Pardon me. And his cousin, Reverend Wheeler Parker Jr., said, quote, "It's been quite a journey for me from the darkness of the night." See, he was there when they came that dark night and abducted Emmett Till, and he said that during the proclamation ceremony yesterday at the White House, attended by dozens of people, including other family members, members of Congress, civil rights leaders. He went on to say, "Back then in the darkness, I could never imagine the monument like this, standing in the light of wisdom, grace, and deliverance." He said, "Today, on what would have been Emmett's 82nd birthday, we add another chapter in the story of remembrance and healing." That according to Joe Biden. So this is the fourth such designation by the Democratic president's administration, reflecting its broader civil rights agenda. The White House commented, "The move comes as conservative leaders, mostly at the state and local levels, are pushing legislation that limits the teaching of slavery and limits the teaching of black history in public schools." But black history is American history, and American history is certainly black history, has to be. And so once again, this Democratic president, for the fourth time, making a very prominent display of ensuring, at the federal level that things are not forgotten, even while we have state legislators like down there in Florida, for example, trying to rewrite history. President Biden not going to let him get away with that. Another important story for folks, Mississippi folks. Everybody's touting this sales tax holiday. This going back to school sales tax holiday. But be careful now. Don't be forgetting this holiday doesn't exist on Sunday. So they call it a tax holiday weekend, but it's not a whole weekend now. Just so you're very clear, it starts at midnight 01 in the morning on Friday, and on the July 28th, and ends at midnight. So it starts at 1 minute after midnight on Friday. So the very first minute of Friday, the tax stipulations. The tax break stipulations would apply, but then it ends on midnight on Saturday night. So don't wait till Sunday. And I would suggest going to, if you got a lot of shopping to do and you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, know what the regular, because there's a lot of regulations involved. So go to, I saw WLBT has an expansive article on that in today online today. Go to WLBT.com and look that up ahead of time so you can get your lists made and get your biggest bang for the buck on this sales tax holiday on Friday and Saturday. I just take a little break here before we go out on break, just to share a little bit about the We Believe Digital Studios, We Believe Digital Media Company. We've got over 30 different podcasts going on in this studio every single week, Monday through Friday. We record all kinds of live content and do some pre-recorded shows that are aired later. Check out We Believe Digital. www.weebelievedigital.com. It's a newly expanded website. Things are grouped together for your convenience. We really want to make sure that our listening audience is aware of the website and not just going to Facebook or YouTube or what have you. And we really, whenever possible, if you can view through YouTube, that helps this studio, because if we get enough viewers on a regular basis over on YouTube, then we can get some monetization. We can get some money back to us for all the good work that's being done over here. As it stands right now, unless people make specific donations, there's little to no money that comes in. And so obviously that's a tough situation to keep going. So visit WeBelieveDigital.com. Consider making a contribution. When you view the shows, be sure to like the shows and give yourself a notification so that you'll be reminded when the show comes up again. And if you can, watch the shows through YouTube. Because that in turn can help us out directly. If we can hit a certain benchmark for views on YouTube, we can get what they, in their words, call it monetized. And so we get a percentage, little kickback from the amount of views that happen, and that can help us defer the expenses of maintaining the studio and all the equipment and upgrading the equipment as necessary, upgrading the website, staff salaries, that sort of stuff, the overhead of the building and so forth. So please give that some consideration. And as always, we're totally transparent here. We'd love to tour you around the studio, show you what's going on, maybe let you observe a show, quietly in the room over here, watching how a show happens. And we'd love to do that. If you have interest, even if you've never studied media before but you're interested, please give us a call, 1-800-492-5186. And we'd love to hear your ideas, love to hear your feedback, your suggestions, and love to show you around the studio and explain, maybe there's some things we could do for you. Maybe shoot some commercials for you, your business. Maybe we can do some advertising. We've done that before, continue to do that for many entities. Be happy to do that for you. The price is right, we can assure you. And maybe you're interested in maybe doing your own podcast. Maybe there's a unique skill or passion that you have that could be showcased and go all over the world, streaming all over the world, right here from little downtown Jackson, Mississippi in the We Believe Digital Studios. So we'd love to have you pay us a visit and talk to us. Our doors are always wide open for you, Monday through Friday, roughly 9 in the morning till 9 at night, something like that. Kind of flex a little bit here and there, but we'd love to speak with you. So we'll go ahead and dip out for a couple of commercials now, and then when we come back, we're going to hit this national and global news, and man, oh man, got some great and interesting stories coming at you. We'll be right back.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippi.link.com and click on Home Delivery.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online at webelieve.global.
Are you dreaming of becoming an entrepreneur, but you're not sure where or how to start? At Entrepreneurs Academy 101, our online program will guide you step by step on how to start and grow your own business. We offer courses such as how to write a business plan, how to create a budget, and so much more. Our online training program is designed for you to learn at your own pace, and there's no set order to complete this program. Because our academy is online, you have the choice to learn with a group, with friends, or individually. Upon completion of the entire curriculum, you will receive a certificate of achievement to acknowledge that you have completed the training needed to become a successful entrepreneur. So enroll today to design the life that you love. Contact your entrepreneur coach, Brenda Myers, at 601-672-0695 or visit our website at www.entrepreneursacademy101.com for more information.
And welcome back to the We Believe Digital Studios in Jackson, Mississippi. So glad you're joining us today. This is the twice-a-week news break program, We Believe Digital News Break. And I think today, all total, maybe about just 19 or 20 different stories sharing with you. Some maybe you've heard a little bit about, maybe we broadened it out a little bit for you, and some maybe new stories. So we're moving on now to the some national news. And there's a congressional hearing going on right now. A House panel is holding a congressional hearing Wednesday today on unidentified. You got to get this name now. It's not UFOs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Unidentified anomalous phenomena, also known as unidentified flying objects. There's people around that's saying that the government knows more about this than they're letting on, so they're holding a hearing on it today, and supposedly, of course, they're going to bring experts in there, and who knows, maybe we'll learn something new about that. So that's going on up in Washington today. Yesterday, the White House condemned comments made by who now appears to be the leading Fox News host, a very edgy guy, if you ask me, Greg Gutfeld. It just seemed, he got a lot going, got a lot moving, about talking about the work skills of concentration camp inmates during World War II. And it's just so amazing because you had those comments made down there in Florida. Talking, about the Department of Education and changing some curriculum and kind of letting it hang out there, and I don't know if it's been approved or whatever, but it's certainly been in the news, about, slaves acquired skills, and who knows, later on in their life, maybe that could have benefited them. So just bizarre comments. I know James Clyburn of South Carolina spoke out strongly against that last night, and then you have this Fox News Greg Gutfeld talking about the same kind of thing in concentration camps, and that skills were acquired, and that and so that like there's some kind of something positive about that. Just absolutely bizarre. So we'll have to see what becomes of that. So also in Billings, Montana. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never been to Montana. I've just been hearing about Montana my whole life. I think cowboys and free riding, open range and all. But I also think of some dastardly deeds over the years. But lo and behold, the police in Billings, Montana are investigating after a musician who performed with the Lyle Lovett in his large band, is what the name of it is. He's like a kind of a country, or I think a Americana genre, or something like that. But He seemed like a very well-respected performer, been around for a long time. This is the guy that was married to Julia Roberts for about 3.5 minutes, and said that he found a noose hanging from a light pole near the group's tour bus. And he absolutely does not recall seeing that noose when they pulled up. And of course, the rub here is that the Lyle Lovett and his large band, again, that's the name of it, Lyle Lovett and his large band, is a multiracial band. And so obviously they once they saw that, they immediately reported it. The guy says, I have no recollection of seeing that when the bus pulled in, but after they were there and setting up for a while, they see this noose hanging from the light pole. Just never ends, does it? You just can't make this stuff up. I mean, I don't know what you do at the Mississippi State Fair when they have, last year they had 24, was it 22 or 24 different musical acts at the Mississippi State Fair. And I went there for one act, but it wasn't a white act, and there was four performers or bands down there last year at the state fair. 4 out of 20 or 22 or 24, something like that. Let's say it was 20. 4 out of 20 were black bands. All the rest were white bands. So interesting. Lyle Lovett shows up in Billings, Montana, and brings his band, which is multiracial, and they got a noose hanging from the light pole. 6 people, including 4 civilians and 2 firefighters, suffered minor injuries in a crane collapse in Manhattan this morning. The incident occurred at a construction site. Just in case you're familiar with Manhattan, I'm really not. Construction site on 10th Avenue and 41st Street, where firefighters responded to a 5-alarm fire. Fire broke out in the motor of the crane that was high atop an adjacent building, and then the boom of the crane collapsed, striking a building across the street, and then it ended up dropping 45 stories. The boom of the crane dropping, or at least part of it, dropping 45 stories. So nothing short of a miracle that they're able to report only 6 people suffered minor injuries, and that came from a CNN report. Talk for a minute about this Ozempic or Wegovy. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This also comes from CNN. Lady by the name of these medications are for diabetes, but apparently they help people to lose weight. And so now you got a whole bunch of people getting their hands on the drugs just for the sake of losing weight. And apparently it's very big out in Hollywood and by some other reports, that I read. But this lady, Joni Knight, has a message for anyone considering drugs like Ozempic or Wegovy, which have become popular for the dramatic weight loss and can help people achieve, that they can help people achieve. She say, I wish I never touched it. I wish I'd never heard of it in my life. She's 37. She's from a place called Angie, Louisiana. This medicine made my life hell, she says. So much hell. It has cost me money. It has cost me a lot of stress. It has cost me days and nights and trips with my family. It cost me a lot, and it's not worth it. The price is too high. So just trying to emphasize the point that, when drugs come out, they come out, they have to prove that they're for a certain function. Oftentimes, they can be good for other things as well, but these are relatively new products, so you got to find out more about them before you jump to something like that. So I don't know. Hopefully, Mrs. or Miss Knight's report help people think that over a little bit. In the latest Statista.com poll claims congressional approval rating. Now, these are our senators and congressmen that we vote in or are voted in, whether we voted for them or not. Their approval rating is 20% right now. Just the poll done just a few days ago. And but the truth is, it really hasn't changed that much in a decade now. So isn't that interesting that the people that we vote for, that we have come to believe can bring about change, then we're not happy with them when they're in office. So we got to listen more carefully and maybe make our choices better when we go to the polls. And you know, we're going to the polls here in Mississippi for primaries on August 8th. August 8th. Go to the clerk of court in your county, double check, make sure everything's right so you're good to go. Sweltering heat dogged some parts of the U.S. for more than a month, beginning to hit the Midwest and Northeast with more than 100 million people now under heat alerts. So nearly a third of the country under heat alerts that will remain through Friday. Do you remember the name Bowe Bergdahl? Bowe Bergdahl, former U.S. Army soldier. This is the guy that walked off the job in Afghanistan, was tortured, and then we got him back. So a federal judge on Tuesday vacated the military conviction of Bergdahl, who had pleaded guilty to desertion after he left his post, was captured in Afghanistan, tortured by the Taliban. U.S. District Judge Reggie Walton in Washington says military judge Jeffrey Zantz, who presided over the court-martial, failed to disclose that he had applied to the executive branch for a job as an immigration judge. So they feel like that tainted his judgment on the case, providing a potential conflict of interest. Several U.S. service members were wounded while searching for Bergdahl. In 2004, that happened in 2009. In 2014, he was returned to the U.S. in a prisoner swap for 5 Taliban leaders who were being held at Guantanamo Bay. Bronny James, the son of Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James, is in stable condition after suffering cardiac arrest on Monday summer practice at University of Southern California. James, a top 20 recruit in the class of 2023, arrived at USC last month, expected to suit up for the Trojans this season. Spent his high school career at Sierra Canyon High School in California, and over the last couple of years developed into a bona fide NBA prospect. So, and he's now out of ICU. They had a defibrillator at the gym where they were practicing, very, very important. And this is very rare in younger people under the age of 25. It's very rare, but having that defibrillator could have made the difference. So he's out of ICU now, and he's still being monitored in the hospital. And lastly, on the national front, Boston Celtics, now I'm a big Celtics fan. Boston Celtics star Jaylen Brown has agreed to sign the richest deal in NBA history, 5-year Supermax extension worth up to $303.7 million. $303.7 million. He could buy that Metro Center Mall. And that's according to his agent, Jason Glushon. Told ESPN. This story comes from ESPN. Brown and Glushon met with Celtics management on Sunday evening, finalizing the remaining elements of the historic deal. Keeps the two-time All-Star under contract through the 2028-2029 season. Way to go, Jaylen Brown. One of my favorite players. Him and Jason Tatum. The Celtics are not done yet. This next year is going to be amazing. Okay, so the last few stories, just a couple of minutes remaining. Israeli Supreme Court announced today that it would hear appeals against a controversial new law that curbs its power. So they're going to hear appeals on a controversial law that that oversends its own powers, setting up a showdown with the government over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's divisive plans to weaken the judiciary. Netanyahu's party, they want to do what they want to do, and they want to be able to override the judiciary. So, and you know, we've been reporting to you there's thousands upon thousands of people protesting in the street. So this thing is not going to go away quietly, and a lot of things going on over there, people being injured in protests and so forth. Also, I don't know if I can pronounce this word right, but a new study published Tuesday in the Journal of Nature found that the Atlantic meridional overturning current, otherwise known as the AMOC, Atlantic Meridional Overturning Current, of which the Gulf Stream is a big part, could collapse around the middle of the century and even as early as 2025, according to this one study. The AMOC is a complex tangle of currents that works like a giant global conveyor belt, transports warm water from the tropics toward the North Atlantic, where the water cools, becomes saltier, and sinks deep into the ocean before spreading southward. So really big news on that. We'll have to follow up. And the last story, really has to do with Western companies in Russia, and we'll just save that for you. It's kind of a long story, and we're out of time now, so we'll just save that for you for Friday. Some companies like Nestle and Heineken stayed over in Russia when a lot of Western companies left, and they might be paying a price for it now. So we'll get that to you on Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in to We Believe Digital Newsbreak Show. Take good care of yourselves and others. We'll see you back Friday at noon.